My question to you is, therefore, why do you go to the university?
Various reasons. um, Academic learning, um, maybe a social life.
So that's right.
To
There is
gain
social.
a tool set.
The what?
In this case, in this case, maybe even a career to advance your.
Career. Yes.
Yeah,
Yes. So you go there to improve yourself, to better yourself, to
I would
prepare
say
yourself.
I would say yes.
Yes. You go there because you want to learn what you know and you want to learn what you don't know. Anyone wants to add something?
Yes, for me, I go to take the knowledge that I have and apply it directly to my business and yeah, exactly like my career and stuff like that. So to be able to make money at the end of the day.
So make money. Okay.
Can I add on to that
Yes,
also
of
that
course.
to have connections with other people who may be in the same field?
That's right. So it's to meet people that you can network with on all of this. So
Yeah.
these are all good reasons for going to the university. But there's one that I think is very important because in the university, you want to be put into a situation of not learning things that you know, but learning things that you don't know. And when you learn things that you don't know, you are in a position of, it's not comfortable. And so you go to the university to be in a position where you feel discomfort. But this discomfort means that there is a hole that you're trying to fill in. And then you fill in this hole. And then you feel confident and you think you know. And then there's another time where you feel in again that you have a hole to fill in. And so this filling the hole, you know, and then feeling that there's a hole again and filling the hole and there's a hole again. What it does is at the university, you learn how to learn and you learn that it's okay not to know. And that's why you're there to learn. I think that's very, very important. And because because life changes and you're always in this position that there's a gap. And so people that learn faster are people that would survive better because it's constantly changing. So maybe my way of looking at the university is again a very marketing way, which is this adaptation. But here's a musician that went to CSUN. Maybe you've heard of him. He's an alumnus of CSUN. His name is Don Hahn. He created classics for Disney, such as The Lion King, Beauty and the Beast. So pretty famous songs, right? Very successful music for one of the most successful, you know, company in the world, Disney. And so he declared his major. He was undeclared for a long time until he decided to major in music with a minor in graphic design in '75. He was asked in 2016, "What did CSUN do for you?" And he said, "The university gave me a strong foundation and provided me with sufficient space to discover my strengths and weaknesses." So learn about yourself, learn about what you know, learn about what you don't know, what you're good at. And so that was his experience at the university. So I think that's very, very important sometimes is to take a break and think about, why am I doing this? What is this? What's the benefit of all of that? Okay. Learn your strengths and weaknesses. I mean, obviously, this talks to you because in marketing, you have the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And that's what you do for a company. You study their SWOT. And this person was talking about the fact that they studied their own SWOT, if you want. Went to the university and I did a SWOT on myself. That was the result, learning to do a SWOT. So, again, what I think is very important is segmentation, targeting, positioning, this idea that you have to divide people, that not everybody is the same, identifying the opportunity, and then the concept of just noticeable difference. I have 5 people more to review. So I reviewed 29 or something like this. Out of the 29 that I reviewed, there's only one that mentioned about just noticeable difference. Um, Maybe because I talked about it at the end, that was like the last class. Maybe because um, I didn't talk, and enough through every classes for you to see how important it is. But the just noticeable difference is sort of the title of the project you're working for, Alex Ritchie, is you're trying to find a J&D for Alex Ritchie. So every business is doing J&D. Every business is doing what I call Darwinership. So that's a concept that I created, which is a mix of entrepreneurship and Darwinism. So Darwinism and entrepreneurship gives you Darwinership. It's this idea that to survive, you have to constantly adapt. You have to learn to survive, and by adapting, by learning is what we have as human being compared to an animal. I don't think an animal wakes up in the morning and say, you know what? I gotta learn to do what I do better. I need to go to the university, like a dog wakes up in the morning and goes, I need to go to the university because I need to learn better so that way I can adapt better. That's not a form of intelligence animals have. And we have this intelligence, is we see that adaptation, survival is all about this learning. And that's what Darwinism is about, is how do creatures learn? So you learn what you try to learn in order to innovate. You learn in order to understand who is it that you want to satisfy. You can't satisfy everyone, and you learn in order to better present your J&D. Your just noticeable difference is what's going to make you successful. How do you present it? What's the best way of presenting it? What's the best word to talk about it? So that's positioning. So in order to do this well, is you need two business skills. One is to understand research and the importance of research, and the other one is leadership. So research is very important because you can make information, you can manipulate information in many ways. So example of, information can be manipulated. Someone it sent me in my social media sort of a video that explains that 0.02% of people who have been affected by coronavirus actually die. So it's a very small number. It doesn't matter if this information is true or false. It's information that I receive that has been sent to millions of people. And then the information was saying, do you know that you have 0.02% to die, chances to die from being hit by a meteorite? So it's like some kind of debris that comes out of space and that would fall on your head. So they say the next time you go out, you should be wearing a mask and a helmet, since they are the same percentage that you will die from both. So when you hear this information, that's a typical information that you will hear for someone trying to sell something, and you would go, wow, that's right. It's the same percentage. It's the same percentage chance to die from the coronavirus and to die from a meteorite. But this is not the all information, and it's only presented in a way that they look equal, but they are not equal. I mean, there's not 500,000 Americans a year that die from being hit by a meteorite. So obviously you're not comparing apple to apple. But people don't criticize things in an objective way. People don't understand how statistics can be used to show you one side of the story. It takes a lot of learning, it takes a lot of education, it takes a lot of experiences to understand how this can be manipulated. In addition, people are not experts in every field, so it's easy to manipulate them in some fields because not everybody knows about everything. So market research is about collecting the data. Market research is about understanding the data and not looking at it the wrong way and being misled into some direction. But business, besides being market research, is also about leadership. So leadership is very, very important. I think leadership is what you do for yourself. Um, is there anyone that knows a person called Dan Pena by any chance?
Yep.
So who's Dan Pena?
He's a really loud, abrasive old man who's made a ton of money in his time and does leadership classes now.
Okay, what else do you know from him?
Um,
Is he from CSUN?
Oh, is he?
Yes, he's from CSUN. So he's probably the most famous person from CSUN ever, but people don't even know him. They don't know he's from CSUN. So he has a very good video, which I'm going to try to show you. All right, let's see.
Our second gentleman of the country is from CSUN.
Is what?
Thing's husband. What's his name? Harris's husband is from
Kamala
CSUN.
Harris. Yeah, I know, but Dan Pena is over $50 billion rich. Kamala Harris' husband, not yet. Not yet. In a few years. You know, not yet. And so let's see. Can you see the video about to start? Yeah. So let's see if the sound works. So, like Aaron Black just mentioned, this gentleman, he knows him as a motivational speaker. Either you like him a lot or you hate him a lot. Nobody in the class is going to have a middle type of perception of him. And I actually anticipate that most of you won't like him at all. He's very abrasive, like Aaron Black said. However, you have to you have to take him maybe, he means well, but it doesn't appear to be someone that means well, but I think he does.
Show me your friends and I'll show you your future. Unless you want average in America, married, 2.4 kids with 1.5 dogs. But I can guarantee you, you will never achieve anything greater than your highest aspiration. If you want $1 million, you'll make $1 million, not $1.5 million. If you want 10 million, 100 million, and you'll never exceed that. If you change 1 billion lives, that's a formula to become a billionaire and change the world.
So another thing that he says that is very important, and that's why I brought it in, because I was talking about leadership just a few minutes ago, before this. And how can you explain me leadership? And the way he explained leadership is when he shows this part of the video.
Where you affect billions of lives.
Yeah, where you change the billions of lives, you change the world.
It says you want to make 1 billion, change the life of 1 billion people, and you will make 1 billion. So that's very easy. I mean, this video is like 12 minutes, and that's less than 10 seconds, but that's huge. People want to make a lot of money, but they want to make a lot of money with the salary. You can make a lot of money with the salary. I mean, even the president of the United States makes $350,000. So then you'll say, hey, I'll take $350,000. Yeah, but that's the president of the United States. You know, it's not like it's the most busy person in the country. And so if you want to make big money like that, or even more money, is you have to take leadership. It's only leadership that can get you the lot. So to make a lot of money, it's a salesperson. And to make even more money, it's a leader. A leader is someone that takes charge. The first class, I show you a picture of a mountain with a lot of sheep. And all of these sheep are there. And if everybody has the opportunity to be the leader, but very few people take the position of leaders. Is you have to lead these people. Tell them, what do you want? What do you need? Let me organize it. Let's make sure that I just organize all of that. It's not a boss. It's not a dictator. I mean, if you're a boss, a dictator, you will gain leadership, but it's going to be short term. A long-term leader is someone that does it for the people, which means that if you do it, so as a leader, as a business person, should you satisfy? You should satisfy the customer, you should satisfy the employee, and then you should satisfy yourself. This is a little bit like the next class because we talk about entrepreneurship, but a lot of people go in enterprise in order to satisfy themselves. Well, I want to know when I take vacation, so that's why I became an entrepreneur. Well, I want to know when I stop working and when I start working, that's why I'm an entrepreneur. Well, I want to know what money I'm going to make and what I'm going to keep. That's why I took entrepreneurship. These are fake, wrong reasons. Is you want to be an entrepreneur because you want to take charge, you want to lead, you want to help people. And if that's what you want to do, you become someone that makes billion by helping a billion people. This is why now you see I talk about Darwinership, because I strongly believe that we are meant to live and to die and to learn. STP is therefore the 3 stages that you have to study in order to do better. And if you remember, we talked about STP being the most academic, um, traditional way, but there's also PST, which is the most used, which is most of the time wrong. But I think there's the Frank Vigneron way, which is the PSTP, which I think is the best way. So how do you divide people based on characteristics of consumer behavior? This is 1 slide, 2 slides. What are the methods of targeting? There's 3 methods: undifferentiated, concentrated, and differentiated. If you're a small business, I said the best one is to be a niche player, which means that you are differentiated. If you look at everywhere, you'll see that there's many ways to differentiate yourself. Um, you differentiate yourself by the benefits, you differentiate yourself by the characteristics of the product, you differentiate yourself by when do people use it, you differentiate yourself based on who are your competitors, you differentiate yourself based on creating a new product class. So there's different product class, you just sort of move yourself on some map. Here's an example. There is one product if you have the cold and flu, and then VIX creates the night product and the day product. So therefore, they are creating a different criteria of measurements. No, there's not just the product that you take during the day. There's actually a version for the night. And then you could do the night version for the kids, the night version for the women, the night version for the older people. And then you could try another version, the night version for the kids, the women, the older people, the sports people, the different level of education, the different level of income, and it can keep on going and going. And the more you divide, the more you become specific, the better you will satisfy the customer, but the less customer you're going to have, because as you divide, you become more specific, but as you become more specific, your product is becoming more differentiated. So moving on is, here's something from 2 ads. 2 cars using different positioning. So one is talking, it's BMW, and the other one is Mercedes. BMW is talking about the speed and performance, and then Mercedes is focusing just on the luxury. So the idea of this is the meaning of your brand. Why would the consumer buy your product? What is the identity, the reputation, the image? And this is called positioning. So positioning is usually defined by a map, a positioning map. Here's a map, and you can see different brand of cars. You have Pontiac, Lincoln, Plymouth, Volkswagen, Toyota, Porsche, and BMW, and so forth. So what you have is 4 different attributes. So here the attributes, well, the most common attributes of positioning and the one that are used in order to explain positioning are quality and price. So normally you use quality and price in order to explain the attributes of positioning. So your brand is either on the high of quality or the low of quality, the high of price or the low of price. Here, we're using criteria that are a little bit more complex than price and quality, and for the reason that they are not specific enough. Quality is too broad as a concept. What's a quality car? A quality car is a car that is good on gas. Okay, so it's gas mileage. A quality car for someone else may be the performance. A quality car for someone else may be the safety. A quality car for someone else may be the reliability. Okay, a quality car for someone else may be the reputation, the image. So quality is in the eye of the beholder. That's why you don't want to use quality as a characteristic of positioning 99% of the time, because it's too broad. Therefore, you have to define the characteristic of quality for the specific industry that you're looking at. So what's a quality hotel, for example? What would you say?
Hotel or resort?
Both.
Oh, Coronado.
Oh, yes. But what is the characteristic? Sorry, to make it more specific. What would be the characteristic of a quality hotel or resort?
Sofitel.
Doesn't that depend on the person?
Yes, it's dependent on the person. You can tell me what you think.
Room service.
So room service, exactly.
Clean.
Cleanliness, yes.
Yes.
The
In
pool?
fact, the pool? Yeah. The food, all of these things. So these are the characteristics of hotels. So you see, you could not say we're going to look at hotels from high quality to low quality. You'd have to be specific. In fact, the number one characteristics that people use for hotels is cleanliness. And the number one method of measuring cleanliness is the smell. So if you want to make your hotel look clean, you don't have to wash and clean as much. What you have to do is make sure that there's some whatever perfume dispenser that makes it smell good, because the smell good takes over the look good. You know, for example, you go inside an airline and it smells bad. They may have been cleaning it, but if it doesn't smell good, people think it's dirty. So what they do is they don't clean it too much. What they do is they throw some perfume inside the air conditioning. And then people walk inside, it smells good, they figure it's clean. It's much faster. So that's a criteria, the smell. The smell is very interesting from a consumer behavior because it's the oldest senses that we have. In our brain, we have all kinds of different parts. Some parts that are more recent in the evolution, again, talking about Darwinism, and some parts are very old. And the part that is actually the memory of the smell and the feelings that we get from the smell are they call the reptilian. They are the oldest part of our brain, and it's very interesting because they work with our subconscious, and so they give us some feelings of fear, of happiness, of excitement, and all of that. So the smell is a very important characteristic when you think about providing services, for example. So going back to this map. So here we have a touch of class at the top and very practical. So something very classy versus something very practical.
Hey, Professor, where would Tesla be on this map?
So Tesla,
would it be, because it does look sporty. All of them look kind of sporty, but they appeal to both older and younger. So wouldn't that be more in the middle? Maybe middle, right?
Yeah, maybe somewhere in the middle, because the good gas mileage, obviously,
they're practical.
But then, you know, a lot of, well, what happened is, I think what would be interesting is if you looked at 5 years ago, I would think it would be in the middle, but going towards the top. But this touch of class and this distinction is eroding away because there's more and more Tesla in the road. So therefore the exclusivity is going down. And therefore they made them also more affordable. So maybe they would go down. But I think it's okay for Tesla because I don't think they've ever planned to be a luxury car. That was not their positioning. I think this was the positioning due to the fact that there was not too many, the fact that they were you couldn't buy them because there was more being bought than being produced. So this was sort of a supply and demand effect that made them. It was the same thing with the Toyota Prius. At one time, people bought the Toyota Prius because there were only a few of them. So there's this supply and demand as an impact, and that's what I wanted to share. Is there's the perceptual map and the positioning map. These two maps shows the same thing, which is the positioning of the brand, but from different perspectives. The positioning map is the positioning map as seen by the marketer. So this is the ideal. This is the wish positioning. So when a marketer puts explain the positioning of their brand, that's the positioning map. But when the positioning is explained by consumers, which that's objective, if you want, because the consumers are really the one that can tell what's the image, that's called a perceptual map. So the objective map is the perceptual map. The subjective map, as seen by the marketer, it's called the positioning map. Why do you need to have two maps? One by the marketer and one by the consumer.
By the consumer.
Because we can't really maybe predict the consumer. Like maybe you just have a perception, but the market can react differently.
So it's to measure the difference, the gap. Because the positioning map, the subjective one made by the marketer, it's the goal. It's the positioning goal. We want to be perceived as such, close to this brand, close to that brand, far from that brand. Then the objective map, the one done by the consumer, will tell you exactly where you are. And then you will measure the difference between where you want to be and where the consumer sees you. Obviously, when you do this map, you have to ask the consumer that you want, like your consumers, not consumers that you're not interested to focus on, because you wouldn't want to see, you don't care of the perception of people that are not your targets. So they would have to be your targets. And then your target, you will want these two maps, if you were to put them one on top of the other, to be perfectly symmetrical. But then if it's asymmetrical, you will want to see what's the gap. So here's asymmetrical is Pontiac positioning was to be on the right side. And when they did the perceptual map from the consumer, they found that they were on the left side. So then they have to plan a repositioning. And the repositioning is therefore going to be about changing that perception. And to change that perception is they're going to have to make the product in that situation look more sporty. Maybe it's advertise the product with young model, and then people will imagine that therefore it became a product more for younger people. Any questions on this?
Yeah, can you elaborate a little bit about how companies measure these types of things and how they respond to it?
So you can do it two ways. You can do it using qualitative research. So where you just have discussion with the people. What do you think of Mercedes? What do you think of Cadillac? If you were to say which one is more luxurious, if you were to say which one is more practical. So through some discussions, you evaluate the distance between this brand based on characteristics. Then you can also do it through a questionnaire where you will be measuring people's perceptions and attitudes. Or you give them a map and you ask them to place the brands on this map. And imagine you're getting 100 maps. Do you see what I'm saying, Tamer? You see the map that is on my screen? Imagine you have 100 people that make those maps. So then it becomes like a point that keeps moving on the map. And all of these points gets recorded. And then you get the average area that people put it on.
Yeah.
And then you go on the data and then you say, okay, so that's the average area of the dot for Mazda. But then you say, gee, let's look at what's the average for women? Because that's the average for men and women. And sometimes that's very interesting is you say men and women. And so then men is where Honda is and women is where Mazda is. It's about the same. The average is still there. But sometimes you do this and you find that it's a very different location. And then you find that the men are actually on the right positioning where you want to be, but the women are not. And therefore, it helps you to see that you have to change your communication just for women because they are the one that are not totally understanding the meaning of the brand.
Mm. And this is based on perception and purchase.
No, it's based on the attributes. So let's imagine you see there's low price and high price, and then family oriented, and then sporty oriented.
Mm.
So then imagine Tesla is not there like the gentleman before did, and I would say, Tamar, where is Tesla? And you look at that and you said, you have a red dot, you have a red pen, put Tesla with a red pen. And I would ask that to 1,000 people.
Oh, I see.
People will be forced to put it. And those 1,000 dots get averaged. But I don't ask you that only. I ask you what's your age, what's your gender, what's your religion, what's your income, what's your location, what's your level of education, what's your job.
And based on that type of information, then you can plot out where you stand in comparison to others in the market.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
So could you do one for Alex Ritchie? So you'll have, you see, okay, so what is the hardest thing about positioning? I told you that, I think last week, that positioning is the hardest thing in marketing of all, is to identify those characteristics.
Because it's so subjective, because it's not necessarily based in reality aside from people's perceptions, because
you know what it's based on? It's based on the opportunities.
What do you mean? Say more.
So for example, if you find that the opportunity is that there's not, I mean, you're looking for a space, you see Chevrolet right there, so there's nothing on the top right, so it's very high upscale and sporty. So then you go, you know what, there's no space for sporty high end. So then you say, you know what, we're going to create a Northridge. Northridge going to be a very expensive car and very sporty. It's a two-door fast luxury car.
Yeah.
Based on the opportunity. So then you look for the opportunity. Are there people looking for a two-door luxury car? And then you find that no, people now don't want that anymore. So that opportunity went away. Or then you find, yes, but it has to be, I don't know, made in Mexico. So then you say, okay. So then what we do is we make that Northridge in Mexico because that's what they want. And it's fast and sporty and luxurious. And then you tell people that buy test drive the new Northridge. It's 2.6, 60 miles an hour. And it has leather, this and all of this amenities. And that becomes your positioning, is the high-end, extra sport. So when you talk about it, you're going to say the luxurious sporty Northridge. And luxurious sporty is your attributes of positioning. And it's based on the opportunity that you found that there was no business doing anything in there, and a large demand for this kind of product. So if we do a reggaeton and mariachi, is you're going to have more reggaeton, less reggaeton, more mariachi, less mariachi. And then you look at that and you go, okay, where do I put all the current artists? Who's doing what? And then you find a big white space open. So now I have to say this because people make that mistake. They make the mistake to think that where there's an empty space, there is a need.
Right.
And not always.
Mm.
Sometimes there's just a need. There's an empty space. So you don't create a product. You see, business people, why do they create a product? They create a product because they have a good idea, number one. So people come and say, oh, I have this great idea and all that. And then you talk to them and they realize that was the idea, it's bad. And then the second reason why people fail is because they come telling everybody that they're going to do X, Y, and Z, because nobody does it.
Right.
I'm going to do pink and green ties. Why? Why? It's obvious. Nobody does it, so I can do it. But I wonder if nobody does it because nobody wants it.
Right. Yeah. Nobody puts manure in food for the same reason.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So therefore, you will not say, "Oh, I'm going to take that top right corner because nobody does it." If the top right corner is empty, let's see if there is a need for that. But the best way would be to say that you found a need, then you made the map, and you had no competitor on that need. Versus finding a gap and then looking for the need. That's why I told you it's okay to do ID, opportunity, strategy, tactic. It's okay. It's okay to do a positioning map, find a hole, then find that the hole actually has an opportunity and then bring it that way. Finding opportunity is the hardest thing in business. How you found it, I don't know, but you just search.
So this positioning is based on a conversation between the company and the customer that they're serving.
Exactly.
Ah.
That's why you have to make sure that you do a ST before you do a P. Who's the customer? What do they want? Then you show them what exists. Then you create several maps. So then you say, you know what, we're going to be luxury and sporty. And then you go, no, 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 no. We're going to be practical, not practical. And you find the map. So you do multiple maps to find the one which has the attributes where your brand will have the most space to work with. You're looking for gap. And the hardest thing about positioning is the best attributes are already taken. It's like someone that says, you know, I won't get married until I get to be 40 years old. And then you're 40 years old and say, okay, now let's get married. And then you go, oh, all the good guys and all the good girls are taken. Yeah, for sure. It's hard, right? So there's the same thing is businesses have a hard time to find opportunities. And once they find opportunities, they have a hard time identifying their attributes of positioning, the word that they're going to use to attribute it to their brand. So, I don't know, Volvo is safety. So we want it to be safety. Can we be safety? No, it's not going to be easy. Why? Volvo has it. Ah, okay. What else can we? Engineering. No, BMW has it. Comfort. No, it's already another brand. Reliability. Oh, it's this brand. And then you go, okay, so what if we have two? Two? That's a little different. If you have comfort and reliability, now you're different than the one that just has comfort. And now you're different than the one that has just reliability. You comfort and reliability. So you are better. But then you say, okay, so I looked and there's already 10 companies that do comfort and reliability. Then therefore that's not good. Maybe it's worth looking at adding a third, comfort, reliability, and engineering. But if you're comfort, reliability, and engineering, what's the problem? Is you trying to be too many things?
Yeah, you can't be everything to everyone, right?
You can't be everything. So in 2013, the president of CSUN came to me and asked me in my class for the clients to be CSUN. So I did it in 2007 and I did it in 2013. So she came and she said, okay, that was a woman. She's still a woman now. They changed last month. And so the president in 2013 was a new president. So then I said, okay, give me some data. And at that time, they gave me a list of the positioning. So I thought there was going to be one or two, maybe three. CSUN had 17 positioning. So CSUN was reliable, easy, affordable, exclusive, 17. It's impossible, 17. Can you imagine putting 17 on this map? The map would be, even if there's no computer that can compute 17 positioning. It's too many. I mean, it's like a diamond multiplied by 100 facets, you know, it's too complicated. So I said, no university can be 17. Maybe you can be one. And with the students, we created one. It was Shine, See Sunshine. So See Sunshine was the slogan that CSUN used. It was everywhere on campus for about 5 years. Then they paid a consulting firm to come. So we were at the consult. Then they paid a consulting firm $1 million, and the consulting firm came, and they created a new positioning, which was See Sunrise. So me and my students did it for free, See Sunshine. And then 5 years after, they paid a consulting firm. It was See Sunrise, and they're still using See Sunrise. So, like I said, when you pay, you keep. When it's free, you keep it less, and then you pay somebody. And once you pay, then you have a hard time letting go because you paid a lot of money. But positioning is a very expensive exercise that you have to identify. So why did we talk about Shine? Because you can't say CSUN is good. Good doesn't mean anything. CSUN is nice. CSUN is cool. We had to find one word because that means a lot of different things. And so we use the symbol of shining. And then they used only one. They used the symbol of rising. Okay. So anyway, any question on this positioning? It, like I said, it's related to your opportunities, related to your target, and is very important. So one time we did a project for South Beach diet. So you have to go back that was in 2004 or something like that, 2004, 2005. So a long time ago. At that time, everybody pretty much was on some diet. And the South Beach diet was very popular. Now, if you speak to somebody, you talk about COVID-19. You believe me, if it was 2005, you spoke to someone, within 5 minutes, the person would ask you about your diet. It was just a thing. And back then, there was not too many companies. There was Atkins diet, omega-3 diet, and South Beach diet. They were the three popular. Okay, and so when we did this project for South Beach, we looked at the competitors, and we found that there was all kinds of diet that existed. There was the French women don't get fat. There was the religion diet. So that was an angle. So that was STP. It was diets, but for religious people. There was diet for people that drink alcohol and like sweet things. So there was the low-fat, delicious desert diet. There was the light chocolate for women diet. There was the martini diet. I mean, we're talking segmentation targeting here. There was diet and gender. Diet for the woman, diet for the man. There was the diet for kids. Obviously, someone had to do a specific diet just for kids. There was the diet for different races. So people were smart. They were positioning themselves. Oh, there's a diet omega-3. I'm going to do diet omega-3 for African American. Oh, somebody already does the African American. I'm going to do the Latino. Oh, there's already a Latino. I'm going to do the woman. Oh, there's already a woman. I'm going to do the kids. Then someone came with diet for people with a different shape. So if you're XL, you had this diet. If you were double XL, you had this diet. So positioning, you see, is very important because to be successful, you have to be different. If you're not different, you won't go anywhere. And Heinz, which everyone knows, was looking for positioning. And so they created what's called a unique selling proposition, which is when you have one attribute of positioning, like Vans is value. So Vans is value, it's only one. And so Ketchup Heinz found the positioning because what they said is they discovered that the tomato sauce the ketchup did not come running. It came as a blurb. So they said, oh, that blurb is something that we can use in our advantage and tell people that if it comes as a blurb, therefore it's a good ketchup. That's how you recognize a good ketchup, is if it comes as a blurb. The truth is it's irrelevant, but they just use that as a point of positioning by saying, if it comes any other way, it's not good ketchup, because that's the way they were pouring, it came out of their bottle. So they use it to their advantage. So they created a point of reference in order to use it to differentiate themselves.